When it comes to selling print on demand, there are typically two camps that a lot of people fall into. One is selling print on demand products on Etsy, and the other is selling on a platform like Amazon Merch or something similar like Redbubble or TeePublic. While both types of platforms allow you to sell items passively with no inventory, there are some pros and cons to each. I've compiled a list of some of the things that you should definitely know before selling on either platform that may be complete deal breakers for you, and I share whether it's possible for you to sell on both and actually make real profit. If you've been a long-time print on demand seller on either of these platforms, or you're just looking to get started, this is the video for you. I'm Hannah, and on this channel I talk about all things print on demand and making passive income, so if that's something you're interested in, I would love it if you'd subscribe down below for new videos every single week. Right off the bat, before even getting into those very specific pros and cons, I want to just give a summary of what I think encapsulates both POD platforms. Amazon ultimately is going to be more passive, but it's going to require a lot more work to break into, and it might be a lot slower to make real profit. While Etsy makes it possible to find success right away, you are going to be putting in more time and more effort to selling on Etsy. But while with Amazon it might take you months or years to make a real sustainable full-time income, with Etsy you could do this in just a few months. So I'm going to break this down even further, giving you exactly what you need to know about each platform in a few different categories. When it comes to getting started on either of these platforms, Amazon is by far the most selective and the hardest to get into. While Etsy, anyone could set up their print-on-demand shop integrated with a print production partner like Printify. I'll link a video of exactly how to do that here. You could have your store up and running by the end of the day, adding lots of products. But Amazon, you are going to have to do an application process, and then you will have to get accepted into the program. And even once you're accepted, you are limited by the tier that you're in. So on Amazon, when you first get started, typically you can only have 10 unique designs uploaded, while on Etsy you can upload as many products as you would like. So right away this decision might have been made for you of which platform you are going to sell on. If you're in a lower tier, I would definitely suggest starting an Etsy store. If you've already been rejected by Amazon multiple times and you just can't seem to get one of those coveted accounts, you definitely should consider selling on Etsy because there's no application process. You simply have to integrate your account with a production partner like Printify, and then you can just start uploading products immediately. So that is a great option, and why it's a lot easier to start making real profit on Etsy right away. Now let's talk about how you're going to get paid on either platform. Amazon Merch is actually going to pay you a royalty per design sale, while Etsy is going to actually pay you the profit that you are making on an item. Both of these methods of payment and what you are actually going to spend is going to be very different. The nice thing about Amazon is then when you upload a design, you are not responsible for buying the product, paying shipping, or any of the costs associated with that. Amazon will take care of it and just pay you your royalty payment, which I typically make around $5 per sale, but you don't have to deal with putting any of your money up front. On the other hand, selling on Etsy integrated with someplace like Printify, immediately when a customer purchases a t-shirt, for example, you are immediately going to be charged around $10 on Printify for that actual shirt, and then down the road, you are going to be paid by Etsy, say that $20 that the customer actually paid for the item. So you will eventually get your profit, but you are going to have to put some of your own money up front to actually purchase the items. This could limit you in how many products you actually are able to post, because if you aren't capable of it, you don't want to receive 20, 30, or 40 orders in one day and not be able to actually purchase the product. I definitely prefer the method on Amazon where you are getting those royalty payments because I am not on the hook for any of those costs, but on Amazon you are still limited to how many products you can actually have uploaded. Also, for newer accounts, I've definitely heard of a lot of Etsy sellers getting their payments put on hold until they prove that they're actually a genuine shop. So sometimes you've made quite a few sales and you've spent the money to pay for those products that you are selling, and then it'll be quite a few weeks until you actually receive the money from Etsy to cover the costs and pay for all of your profit. When it comes to how many products you can upload, Etsy definitely is the winner, especially in those lower tiers, because on Amazon you really are so limited limited to the number of products that you can post, so it is a little bit more difficult to make real money in those early months, even if you do tier up very fast. Whereas on Etsy, you could upload 20 products a day for the entire month and fill up your entire store and start making daily sales within just a few weeks. Really, the only limit is to how much time that you want to spend uploading products. If you want to upload several hundred a week, you can do that. Whereas on Amazon, even if you have the time and you want to put in all of that effort, you're not able to upload that many products. And speaking of products, there is a big difference when it comes to Etsy and Amazon about what products you can actually sell. On Amazon, because they are taking care of everything completely for you, from actually making the products, packaging it, shipping it, returning it, Amazon has total control about what you can sell. Right now, they only have a select number of products that you can sell, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags, pillows, and several other different things. But on Etsy, the sky is the limit to what you can sell. On a place like Printify, they have more than 800 different products that you could add to your store. So if you wanted to sell a mug or a hat or a keychain, you could do that on Etsy integrated with Printify, but on Amazon, you're only limited to the products that they have. Every few years, they do add new products to the mix, but if you want to sell a hat or a mug on Amazon, you are completely out of luck. Now, let's talk about how passive both of these platforms really are. Yes, both of them, you can sell products passively. You're not going to be responsible for printing or shipping or dealing with any of that when it comes to making an actual sale on a product. However, Amazon Merch definitely wins when it comes to how passive this is. You simply just upload your product, you make the design, write the title and description, and then you are good to go for forever. You won't have to deal with anything about returns, with inventory, putting in the orders. Amazon is going to take care of everything for you. So once your design is up there, you don't even have to worry. As opposed on Etsy, you are creating those listings, and yes, they are going to be fulfilled passively by someplace like Printify, but oftentimes this comes with a little bit of customer service and making sure everything is running smoothly, because ultimately this is your own shop that you're running. With Etsy, I get lots more questions from customers about sizes, about shipping, about special requests, whereas on Amazon, customers have no way to contact you. If they want to contact anyone, it's going to go to Amazon. You will never see any of the complaints or questions about your product. But on Etsy, I get a lot of questions, and that does take time every single day to deal with those. And even though as a general rule in my shops, I don't accept returns except if there's a problem with the printing, which that will always be taken care of someplace like Printify. They will create a new one for you if there is any problems on their end. But sometimes you do really get a genuine request, someone that's very unhappy and does want to return their product or get something new. Sometimes if that happens, you are going to eat the cost of that return. If you spent $10 on the shirt and they want to return it, that is $10 that you're not going to see again. I find that it always balances out, and I don't get tons of requests like that, so it's definitely still worth it to sell on Etsy there. But on Amazon, if you get a return, you're just not going to be paid the profit that you would have been. They don't take out the cost of the item. Amazon is eating that themselves. So that is a big win for Amazon there. When it comes to traffic and customers, there are a few things that you should definitely keep in mind. Amazon is by far the biggest e-commerce platform, so they already have a bunch of built-in traffic. But Etsy is a close second to that. There are a ton of people going to Etsy to look specifically for print-on-demand products and stuff that is more unique and customizable. Etsy does have a lot of organic traffic too, but when it comes to traffic that you are actually going to bring to the platform, Etsy by far can win in this department. On Etsy, since you are creating all of your own products and you are doing everything for your store, you have a real opportunity to create a brand or a store for yourself. So if you want to create a Facebook page or an Instagram page, you can link that to your entire store. You can put whatever types of products that you want, group together however you want, and you can create a real following for yourself that is going to drive some directed traffic to your shop. Whereas on Amazon, every single product that you create is kind of by itself in the wider Amazon platform. You have no ability to create a storefront for yourself or to create a real brand on there. There are ways to get around this, and I share that in this video here, but when it comes down to it, it's much harder to create a consistent brand on Amazon that you can actually drive traffic to than it is on Etsy. Depending on what your strategy is, you can create very loyal followers and customers who are coming back to your shop because they know what to expect there and they like what they've gotten in the past. It's much easier to drive your own traffic to an Etsy store as opposed to your products on Amazon. When it comes to how much profit that you can make on either of these platforms, there's a few things that you should know. So on Amazon, it's really possible to make full-time income, but you're going to typically have to be in the tier 500 and up to start seeing yourself making real income. And that will definitely take several months, if not a year or more, to start getting into those higher tiers. Whereas on Etsy, you can post as many products as you'd like, so really the sky is the limit to potentially how much profit that you can make even in those first weeks and months. Also, with Etsy, you are in charge of whatever types of products that you want to sell. So if you want to sell something that has a really high profit margin, say like a blanket, you could do that and be making $15 of profit on each sale, as opposed to only selling the products that Amazon has and making $5 or so on each sale. So there are more possibilities to expand how you can make money actually on Etsy than there would be on Amazon. And it's much quicker to make real income, I think, on Etsy than it is on Amazon. However, when you want to think about expanding your business with Amazon, since it is so much more passive, it's a lot easier when you get up into those higher tiers to expand how much profit you can actually make, because you're not limited by your time at all about how many products you can actually sell in a day. It's a lot easier to grow exponentially down the road than it is on Etsy, where you're still going to be having to manage all that customer service and make sure that everything is going smoothly with your production partner. So those are definitely two more things to consider. Now, do I recommend that you sell on both platforms simultaneously? Well, if you've watched any of my videos before, you probably know that I do sell on both platforms. They have different things that I love about them. Amazon is still my favorite platform just because it is so passive, but it has taken me time to get into those higher tiers where I'm making a real sustainable income. Whereas Etsy, it's much easier to just out of the gate start making sales. But I do think it is possible to have success on both platforms. I've found in my experience that Amazon and Etsy, they definitely have a different customer base. So when I create one product, I upload it to both sites, and sometimes something never sells on Amazon, but it sells all the time on Etsy. I think you actually are doing yourself a disservice by only being on one platform or the other, because you're basically getting double the exposure and double the opportunity to make profits and sales when you are posting on both. That being said, it's definitely more difficult to get going and get accepted to Amazon merch. So if you haven't gotten accepted yet, or you're still in that process, I would certainly recommend getting started on Etsy. If you really do want to take Amazon merch seriously, but you're still in tier 10 or tier 25, you potentially have so much extra time that you can't even upload extra designs. So I would be taking all that time and effort and creating products on Etsy. I think this just gives you the greatest potential to have a lot of success early on in your print-on-demand business as a whole. While one platform is great, the more platforms you can add is just the more potential for you to make real profit. You might only make a couple $100s on Amazon, but if you're also doing Etsy at the same time, making a few $100s there too, that becomes a lot more money. So I think it really is in your best interest to be trying to do two platforms at the same time at least, if not more, like Redbubble and TeePublic or Zazzle as well. The approach to both of those is going to be different, but I think it is totally possible to sell on both, and I definitely recommend it to people who really want to take this print-on-demand business seriously. Try to get on at least two platforms. If you have been denied by Amazon merch, there are a few other great options that also work on that royalty model. My next favorite is going to be Redbubble, so I would definitely get started there. But if you haven't already, consider creating an Etsy store and link it with a place like Printify, and I know you're going to be able to have a lot of success early on there. Let me know what you think about either of those platforms if you sell on them. What are some of the pros and cons that you think that I missed? I'd love to hear those. If you want to see exactly how to get started on Amazon or Etsy, I'll link a couple videos here to do just that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.